few days ago, I was at the hairdresser, and this lady who was playing gospel music and singing along with the gospel music. And when it was my turn, I started talking to her, of course, like you do with your hairdresser. And she was talking about, that she had two children, that she was divorced. And then she looked at the mirror and she looked at me and she said, "Men are dogs." I was a bit surprised of that. I said, like, you really think so? And she said, like, yeah, they cheat, they do this, they do that. I said, okay. I said to her, in Holland, 52% of the men cheat. They did studies to that. And maybe it's 50, maybe it's even more, but from the 52%, we know. And then I said to her, because she was like, yeah, you're right, 52%, of course. And then I said to her, but 48% of the women cheat also. And she was like, no, it's not possible. And I said, yeah, and let me tell you even worse than that. I said, I think 1 out of 3 children is not of the father they are with. And she was like, really? I said, yeah. And this whole story just reminded me of 2 things. One, we women like to think that we're like some kind of angels, which we are not. And the second thing is, we hear so many times as women that men are bad. Now, well, I've been coaching women now, and I've been coaching men now. And what I've seen is that women complain about men a lot. They complain about men. They say that men are so self-absorbed, things like that. But when you talk to men, you see also that men really do not understand women. So they have different kind of complaints. They try to make sure that women like them, but they sometimes really do not know how. So I was looking at this now for a few years, and I was looking more closely, like, what is really the difference in this? What is it that I'm hearing all the time between men and women? And what I found out is that men are very, I would say, original people. Not like, oh, they're so original, but what I would say as a woman is men take themselves as the measuring point. And what I mean with that is, for example, a man does not go outside and man goes outside, he loses his weight, or he loses the weight where he's going, and he does not, but he does not ask another person where the street is. He just tries to find it himself. Women do it a little bit differently. As you know, if I don't know where to go, and if I don't know the street, or if I don't know, I have to get something and I don't know where to go, I just ask a person, and I think, well, they'll tell the truth. But a man doesn't think like that. They will tell me, like, why would I trust the other person to know more than I do? Which was a little bit startling for me, because I always thought, why not? Maybe the person does know, and I don't, But the difference in that is that men come from themselves, and women look outside. And this is very, very important in the difference between men and women. The reason why women find men so selfish and so self-absorbed and also so very narcissistic sometimes is because men look at themselves first, and they don't look outside, and they are not trying to please somebody else. And of course there are men who please, and that's all okay, but the first person that they think about is themselves. And women are a little bit the other way around. And you hear that also with a lot of women when they say, like, when they're with a boyfriend or when they're with their husband, they all the time look at what that person does. So they're not looking at themselves, the women, but they're looking at the person, and they know how they eat their bread. They know how they eat their food. You know, they know how they drink their drinks. You know, they know how they want their coffee. They know how they want their tea. You know, that women are continuously looking at the other person and trying to make the other person happy, which makes that they forget about themselves a lot, which men sometimes cannot even understand how women can do that. How can you forget about yourself? But that's the way we are wired as women. You know, there's this of ages and ages ago, we've been wired like this, and we still continue like this, which is not that bad. It's very good if the two come together. They can find a way in that, but in the beginning it can be very confusing. And if you go too far, for example, as a man, you really become very selfish. If you, as a woman, go too far, you become over-pleasing, and you all the time want to please everybody around you, which makes you feel a little bit sick also. So there's a lot to learn from both sides and both sexes. If you have any comments, leave them down below. I would love to hear from you.